At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
I'm doing everything I can. Now stop calling me Shirley.
The center has to be at least 3 times bigger than this.
All right, it's another edition of Sincerely Unqualified. Today we are doing, honestly, what I would consider a modern classic rom-com. Modern meaning like the last few years, not talking like a Wedding Crashers or anything.
Yeah.
We're talking Ali Wong and Randall Park's movie, Always Be My Maybe. Mm-hmm. Absolutely great.
Oh, yeah. It surprised the hell out of me when I saw it because, number one, I feel like it didn't get the press it deserved. It didn't get any of the hype that you usually see with new movies because of the way it dropped. And we'll talk about that a little bit. But I think it's definitely worth the watch. I mean, it's incredible seeing it. And you're like, how did I go 2 years without knowing this existed?
Oh, so you didn't get it I actually didn't know that. You didn't get it when it came out?
No.
Okay, yeah.
The first time I actually watched it, and I'd seen some clips on TikTok or something, didn't really know what movie it was from because you always see those Keanu clips pop up. I feel like there's a cycle for the Keanu clips to pop up where it's, every 2 or 3 months, it's him walking into that restaurant and everyone's like, oh, what movie? Yeah. And I'm sure that might happen if we post some TikToks of him on this round. But, I always saw those, but I didn't get it initially until about 2 months ago is the first time that I watched it. And I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. Oh, honestly, that same thing with me because, well, I saw it when it first came out, but very surprised, and we'll get into it. But before that, we just need to let you know, summer's coming. Are you ready to unveil your beach bod? You're in luck. Our friends at Manscaped just launched their 4th generation performance package, which includes the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the 4.0. Complement your dad bod or six-pack with the trim from the leaders in male grooming. The sun is shining and calling your name, fellas. Join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get ready for hot guy summer with 20% off and free shipping by going to manscaped.com/unqualified. By 20% off and free shipping by using the code unqualified at checkout at manscaped.com. It's time to bundle up with the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. Inside this package, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, which I gotta admit, guys, I use. It's great. And the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant, Crop Reviver Toner, Performance Boxer Briefs, and Travel Bag to hold all your goodies. I mean, you get so much. We're talking this episode. We talk later about it. You get certain things for your money. This is one of those things. You're not going to have some artsy-fartsy thing. It's going to be the best ball hair trimmer, the best nose trimmer, everything you need for down under. You're going to get it at a good price, especially because you're going to go to manscaped.com and use our code unqualified at checkout. It gets you 20% off and free shipping. That is 20% off and free shipping by going to manscaped.com using code unqualified. Escape the shrubs and weeds this summer and shine with Manscaped. So let's get into Always Be My Maybe. We always go tomato score, so we're going to start it out. We got a 90 critic, 80 audience. So the critics like this one. And
surprised? Are you surprised by that at all?
I think that it was basically the pleasant surprise that we all had. I think that's probably what drove the critic score. 80 audience for a rom-com, that's pretty solid. Let's not lie about that. That's pretty solid. And so we should also mention, it is directed, I believe, directorial debut by Nahnatchka Khan. And Ali Wong and Randall Park teamed up to screenwrite this alongside Michael Golamko. And I think what basically it almost fell victim to in a way. And we mentioned this. We did a Hulu streamed movie last week with Palm Springs. I think that this was a few years too early, so it didn't quite get the respect it deserved. But when critics I think it was when we were just looking at streaming movies or Netflix or Hulu original content as a direct-to-TV movie, I think that when critics watched this one, they were like, wait, this is actually good. Like, we're going to say that this is awesome. This is fantastic. And I just think that that's probably the reason for the high critic score. 80 audience, again, solid.
I agree. And I think that whether it was Palm Springs a little later, I think that this movie officially kicked off the streaming movies can be good. Streaming movies have a good amount of budget thrown into them, and when you get the right people thrown into these movies, I think it gets taken way more seriously. I mean, the fact that Keanu Reeves is in this matched up with Ali Wong and Randall Park, like those are some heavy hitters to, and then it skews what people think because, you know, you always think streaming. Before this, at least in 2017, 2016, there were some flops on Netflix. Yeah. There were some flops on these streaming services. And now to see it being a respectable medium, I think like Black Widow just got released both in theaters and on Disney Plus. Like it's just, especially now. But the one thing I will say about this movie is it kind of got screwed over because I think what helped us take these streaming movies more seriously is the fact that COVID happened. And we were kind of had to watch these movies at home, where you may be more inclined to go see it in a theater before that. And this was a little bit earlier in 2019 before the world shut down. So people were still going out. People were still seeing movies. And they're like, a new Netflix movie. I'll get around to it when I get around to it, you know?
I bet that, I bet that could have happened because I don't remember because it was back in 2018. But I think I was like right place, right time where I was like, I had time. I was scrolling through Netflix and I was like, oh, this movie I've heard is pretty good. Let me just give it a watch. And so I know what you're saying with like, I think it got screwed over. We're talking the streaming world, but I also think that like, it's important to note, this is probably the first movie to give the subsequent movies like credit. I know we kind of said that. I just feel like we need to point out again, like this is like the first mover because I don't think that other comedy movies, like I don't think Palm Springs would have had the reception it did if back in 2018, this movie came out in a different form. Like I think,
if this movie sucked, you know, like if this movie sucked and we had the players that we do, not to say, okay. So I'm saying like, if you had the players that you do in this movie, if you have like the big names, the big budget, the writing, everything like that, and it still sucked, then people would probably say it's streaming. It's the medium. It's not doing well. And they wouldn't be as likely to take those shots on the Palm Springs and everything that came after because they were like, look what Netflix did here, and they couldn't even get good results with that. You know, it's basically like throwing money at huge stars and saying, do a great job. And if it didn't, then they're like, okay, it's the medium. What do we got to go to theaters. And then we wouldn't have had great movies during COVID because everyone would have been hesitant before that to say, let's pump them out. Let's do more.
No, I think that's a good point, especially because that was going to be my counterpoint right there was, I mean, they were releasing movies on streaming. They just happened to flop.
No, they were just for the most part, so good. Yeah,
it wasn't the cast weren't as good, even though, you know, obviously Sandman has that Netflix deal.
Yeah.
But then again, we know that the Sandman
we know what to
track
expect.
record.
Yeah, we know what to expect. Let's just say that Hubie Halloween was not the best thing I've ever seen.
That was still one of my favorite like little things that we did was the guessing Hubie Halloween in like 2 minutes or something.
Yeah,
the true or false and the
basically I hadn't seen the movie and Kev had, and he was telling me these outlandish things, and he was like, "Is this part of the plot or is it not?" There was just so many things that I was like, that can't be true. And he's like, no, his mom burns people at the stake.
Yeah.
So what is going on?
True or false, he projectile vomits while riding a bike, like false. It was after he got off of his bike. Or like something about Ray Liotta too.
Just some insane things. But basically people looked at streaming as kind of that stuff where it's, you know what you're getting into, whether it's the insanely cheesy kind of action movies. Let's just say Six Underground, they threw money at Ryan Reynolds and said, do what you want. And Dave Franco was in it for all of 12 minutes. And then they have like Chris Hemsworth, other movies. They didn't live up to what you got beforehand with those studio movies. So I think we're putting a stamp on it. We've said it 6 times. Intro to streaming success stories.
Very successful. And you were talking about the cast. We'll just run through it quick. Yeah. So Ali Wong obviously plays Sasha. Randall Park plays Marcus. And then Michelle Buteau, I think is how you'd pronounce her name, Veronica, their friend, who honestly, I did not realize that she was supposed to be the same person from childhood to where we currently were in the movie. because she had all those piercings, and the only time, like when I was watching the first time, it was only when Randall Park was like, "Oh yeah, you lost all your piercings," so then she did like the not all of them. But I was like, "Oh, that was supposed to be her." Okay, I get it now.
Exactly. Yeah, that kind of threw me for a loop too. Seeing just that drastic change, but I love that they threw it back to high. I loved it. We'll talk about it when we go through, but we'll go through more of the cast. But I love the way they did it, and. So Jenny was played by Vivian Bang. Tony was played by Karan Soni. Ginger, Dope. He's the best. Charlene Yi and Quasar was Lyrics Born, and of course Keanu Reeves is played by none other than Keanu Reeves,
the only one who could do it. So obviously it was.
Dude, imagine somebody else trying to play Keanu Reeves.
Someone just with the Keanu Reeves wig on.
Who would you cast as Keanu Reeves?
Bill
honestly?
Hader. Bill Hader.
Really?
Easy
oh,
stamp.
okay.
Oh,
yeah. No, I could get behind that 100%.
That was a quick one. I honestly, I bet I was just thinking good impressionist and then black hair, and I was like, oh, of course, Bill Hader.
It's Bill Hader.
That would be hilarious.
He would do the whole face. Show.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing that we wanted to talk about, like generally with this movie, was the streaming thing. But I also think I like how they really they steered away from the classic rom-com narrative, but in a way, like they held pretty true to it. You know, it was unconventional, but it wasn't like anything that they were trying to go too different. Yeah. They didn't really bill it as anything other than a rom-com, and it was nothing other than it was a fantastic rom-com with a bunch of different elements that made it great. But at its bones, it's a rom-com.
Yeah, it was different but the same. So it was essentially like they followed the formula. They knew what they were doing. But you have Randall Park and Ali Wong who also know what they're doing comedically. Where they can spin these stories in different ways. And so he's basically like a guy who smokes weed all day and raps and just performs for this little band. That's hilarious in itself. It's very different from the traditional, like, he has an office job, she's this, she's adventurous, you know, kind of thing. Yeah. And I do love that Ali Wong was like a professional chef because I don't know, it was something very different that we didn't see. And they even dropped like the Jose Andres reference in there.
Yeah. Like it's something that we haven't really seen in movies, I guess. Yeah. Well, I mean, Celebrity Chef, I would say, other than Chef, which by the way, Chef is a fantastic movie, but it's weird. Like it's a profession that we don't see in movies, but we know enough about it. Like everyone knows celebrity chefs, even if you're not into watching the Food Network or anything, you know these people. So it's kind of funny seeing like their portrayal of this, or like, and especially how just different worlds those two end up in.
I will say Celebrity Chef is a pretty insane role. Isn't it? Like it's like a Gordon Ramsay. Yeah. I mean, it is a pretty insane thing where it's like you're very famous for making great food, and then you can now just do TV shows and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, you start as a chef and then you just turn into a personality. But like,
exactly. But still open 1,500 restaurants around the world.
Yeah, you turn into a business person. Exactly. Kevin Hart is the celebrity chef of comedy. Just throwing that out there right now. Like, literally, Kevin Hart went from a comedian, but he's still a comedian because he's funny. You don't lose that, just like chefs don't lose their ability. Yeah. But then you turn into something way bigger than anything that a traditional chef or comedian does.
Exactly. You go from selling out clubs to arenas to MSG 6 nights in a row. And
by the way, what? Did you see? So it was Rogan and Chappelle. They like co-headlined I think it was MGM Grand at Vegas.
In Vegas? No.
And so Segura and Donnell Rawlings also were there. But I was seeing pictures that they were posting, and it's just so wild thinking about the fact that it is a comedy show. Like, I technically went to a Kevin Hart arena show. It was a smaller arena, but it was like where our local farm team for the Flyers plays. It was big enough, and it was just so much different than a club. Like, it's so much different than a theater. And it's just crazy that you have like these levels, like open mic, club, theater, and then arena, and it's just like a completely different thing, completely different skill set.
It's a whole different world. You got to know how to play to like 20,000 people. That's insane.
Yeah,
like, and make 20,000 people laugh. Some people can't make one person laugh.
Exactly. Look at like both of us for all of our listeners.
Yeah, exactly.
Go if you haven't yet, like seriously, go to Joe. if you have Instagram, I bet you could find it even online. But Joe Rogan posted this video of just the craziness of this crowd, and it looked like I thought he was posting something for the UFC fight, and it was a comedy show. Just
insane.
needed to throw that out there because I did want to mention that on this podcast, and it was during our overview of this movie, which makes a lot of sense. Welcome to the podcast.
And that ties in because I'm sure like Ali Wong could sell out. Do you think she can sell out an arena? Probably not an arena yet. I think she can go like massive
she can go
theater.
Yeah,
like
she
massive
can go.
theater.
Yeah. And honestly, I bet she'll get there because she is a fantastic comedian. That's another thing that's probably, I think, could be worth noting in this movie is that Ali Wong is a true comedian. Randall Park's more of an actor. So they were both writing this, and I think that a lot of kind of like, it seemed like stand-up bit premises, like classic premises, or even just like the way that some of the lines were worded. It seems like it started from a point of even maybe Ali Wong tried to get these jokes to work, and then like you table them, they're in your notes app or they're in your notebook, and then you revisit it for this like just a random line in this movie, which makes the writing incredible in this.
I do think it works out really well with the combination of like Ali Wong being a stand-up and Randall Park being an actor and more inclined to the acting, because I think writing comedy, your every word is important. Yeah. Every word in stand-up makes a difference. And then with Randall Park, it's probably like seeing how the scene plays out and improvising on the fly and seeing from there. So those two working together, Ali Wong can have the structure and everything of a joke, but seeing that and Randall working on the fly, those two combining their abilities and saying like, this can be molded. Like, let's get the wording as perfect as we possibly can and then mold it into the scene. I think that cohesiveness definitely helped the movie as well.
Definitely. And honestly, in comedies, a lot of the time, you want those lines that sound like they're out of a set. And I think that, especially, obviously, Ali Wong, fantastic comedian, she's bred to do that. But Randall Park, his timing and his comedic acting has always been fantastic. So even if he might not have wrote like a certain line, and Ali Wong, it kind of came from her mind, and it was essentially just a line of stand-up, he kills it. And everyone else does in this movie too. There's just so much great comedy in this, and it holds such a great story. It's just
even the thing about the chairs when she's like, what are the chairs called? Like
Gooby,
Gooby chairs. Like, so I'm thinking for this table we'll have 4 top with Gooby chairs, 2 top with the Gooby chairs here. Just that kind of running bit was even just a throwaway little hilarious thing. Yeah. You think she's gonna fire? Oh, she'll make me do it.
Yeah,
that whole thing was
say like. Put the menu on rice paper. White people eat that shit up. She goes, guilty. And then Ali Wong just stares at her like, what?
One thing I will say, too, and I love that they did this, is a lot of rom-coms that we did see were not, I mean, you get the cookie cutter kind of just, it's a very different, and I think that they brought their own cultures in and their own perspectives
That's another thing.
Without forcing it and without making it like not even to say uncomfortable, but there's things where you see movies and you're like, they're forcing it here. You're forcing your honestly, hand, and it's not done in a natural way. And this was done perfectly.
Especially like down to the food in the beginning. She's talking about how Korean people use scissors, and I bet that kind of stuff is really cool, especially for Korean people to see. Oh, that's in a cool Netflix movie that. If Korean people, if a Korean person happened to care about that, I think that would be cool for them to see. I think it is really cool how they were able to work a bunch of culture into it pretty seamlessly. And I know you were saying like it wasn't the point, but it was there in it. That's what suited it really well.
Exactly. It was just another block that was needed. So it's basically like, if you look at what's it called, the movie with Ryan Gosling and Steve Carell, the rom-com,
Crazy
with Emma Stone, Crazy Stupid Love. Yeah, that's just a classic like. You know what you're getting into thing.
Yeah.
This movie separates itself because it brings in so many different aspects from so many different perspectives. Even the fact that they have like a band in San Francisco in this small town, they're not leaving. It's another little different thing, another cool little thing, like seeing Randall Park up there performing at first. And the best question is like, are they supposed to be good? and I
We'll
wanted
see.
to know what you thought.
Well, so actually, that is a good segue because that's how I think we're gonna do our breakdown portion
Yeah.
of it when we can really get into spoilers.
Let's jump into that.
Yeah, we're gonna look at like all the different layers, and honestly, we could start out with the struggling band because I thought that was a huge part of the movie. Like, it's really important to who Randall Park's character is. Like, it's very synonymous with Marcus because he's a guy who likes to smoke weed, likes to hang out, but he does have this dream, although he's not super successful. Like, they're in this struggling band. And I mean, I there's something that's in me that always loves those kind of stories. Like, especially with music, we know that I like music and everything. I always like seeing, especially even movies about it. There's something that's so romantic about an artist's struggle, and that you have this struggling band, and that's a big part of this movie. And then you're right. Like, honestly, the performances, are they supposed to be good? I would say yeah, because I think they're great. It sounds like some cool, like, San Francisco underground scene. Like, you have some just some people with guitar, bass, drums, simple, and then Randall Park's rapping, but also, I mean, he is rapping, but, you know, it's not like classic
I
rap.
think it's very spoken word, I think.
Yeah,
it's very spoken. Even when he was
It's
at the slam poetry thing, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that makes sense. So he's going to the slam poetry thing, kind of pulling influence from that. It's very rhythmic speaking, I would say.
Yeah.
More than rap.
I like
Not
it.
to say, I knew it would be up your alley.
It's not up your alley, though.
It's not to say that it's not, but it wasn't my favorite thing. I will say, okay.
What I'll say is this. Whenever I have a movie and there is some, especially original music, like if they make music for the movie and it progresses the plot along, like when they do that little scene where after they get together, and we'll talk about the romance of it right after this, but after they get together, he's at the show. It makes it fun. It moves the scene along. The music is very rhythmic, and I think that was very on purpose. And I think it is just cool to see because Randall Park, from what we've seen him, we've seen him in 1,000 different roles. Yeah, but like he does well as a like struggling rapper kind of that's like not into rap.
Well, it's so cool seeing the different sides of Randall Park, where he's this FBI agent in the Marvel universe, and then to see him go from that to just a weed smoking kind of semi deadbeat.
Like a lovable deadbeat.
Yeah, I mean, I love that you get introduced to that side of him too, because like the first thing you see of kind of adult him, I think, is when he's in his room smoking, and then his dad comes in. He goes, "All right, it's a dance battle. Oh, you have to do it."
His dad's the
goat.
you're
just exactly. Oh, his dad is probably one of the best characters in the entire movie. I will say, but I think we start off by going into a little bit of their past, because
that's another.
They were childhood friends. We talked about kind of bringing the culture, but they're childhood friends. Like, you see them grow up in San Francisco, right next door to one another. Coming over. Her parents are never home, so she's always invited over. Goes out cooking. They've been hanging out. Just enjoying, kind of being a part of their family without doing that, and just introducing themselves there. So they've known each other forever, and then flash forward to like that awkward stage, and I think that it was very believable because Ali Wong looks really young, so it's very believable that she like was that age. She just, I mean, just
Randall Park was very clearly like
not so much
Randall Park, like not even with CG. Like it was just natural.
I think that was hilarious that
I'm
they
okay
didn't.
with it. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I didn't need Randall Park to actually look like he was 18. I like
that they didn't cast more people, though. I like that they just went as themselves and just ripped it.
What I was gonna say is those. So at first we see their like little cute relationship or whatever. Those child actors are fantastic. Like, actually they were funny, and honestly, it was. It was kind of funny seeing, because I was like, oh, that kid actually has comedic timing.
This 10-year-old knows what he's doing.
Yeah. But no, it was funny.
Kev's like, is he in the LA open mic circuit? Do I have to watch out for this 11-year-old?
We're going to get in a roast battle. No, I think that...
Kill Tony.
You should do Kill
Tony.
Yeah. I don't think he would do Kill Tony anymore. I think we know why. We don't need to bring that up. So the romance of it, the childhood friends thing, I think is something that even if you don't have a version of yourself, even if you don't really you don't have a true childhood friend like that, it's nice seeing, and then you see the fallout of it after they complicate things and have sex, and that's like we get that all off the jump. Like, what is it? Does it take 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Out of the, I think this is like an hour 40-minute runtime. So the next hour and a half, like that's our sweet spot there.
Oh yeah. That's what I love, and that's what I think Palm Springs did well too. And I almost see a trend in the streaming movies that I want to ask you about. Do you think that the streaming movies have to advance the plot a little quicker because people are much more willing to shut it off because they're just so willing? They're like, we have to grab people's attention now or they're gone and they're not coming back.
There are like statistics, right? That most people will turn it off in the first 60 seconds, and most people don't last longer than 30 minutes, which is why they're thinking about. They're trying to make the change to 30-minute, and there are like TV shows, quote unquote, that have comedians do 30-minute sets, because most people just don't watch to the end. That's a good point. I didn't think about that. You probably have to even write the movie differently. If you're at a theater, you're staying. Unless the movie absolutely sucks. You're giving it at least 45 minutes before you're leaving, too, if it does absolutely suck. So
the only time I've left a theater in my life is when, I might get some hate for this, but I was like 11 years old when the Watchmen movie came out. And we had no idea the backstory or anything to it. So it was me, my friend, and my dad. And my dad didn't know what was going on either. So we're sitting there, and Mr. Manhattan's giant ass naked body comes on. My dad's like, what is this? What are we doing here? Yeah. And so he's like, you guys want to go? We're like, okay. So we just left and never looked back.
You said you were 11?
Yeah.
That's the age that you're like a little weird about big blue dicks.
I would say so.
Give it 10 years, you're like, all right, fine.
My dad's like, maybe I shouldn't have taken you here.
Yeah.
This is a little bit. I think because he wanted to see it, and there's a couple other movies that we just sat through and just made fun of a little bit. I think it was a movie, a werewolf movie, and we still to this day say like, Lawrence, you've done some terrible things, Lawrence.
There are certain bad movies that if you sit through with someone, you just drop those lines in. There's a movie I can't remember for the life of me the name of, but my buddy Ant, I'll always say a certain line to him, and we'll just crack up. Dude, Watchmen, I got around to only like a few years ago.
It was called The Wolfman. And it's...
Oh no, it just sounds terrible.
I looked up, you've done some terrible things, Lawrence, and it's the first thing that pops up.
Let me type in my really obscure line.
And then we went to, this is getting a little off track. We'll get back to the movie in a second, but
Welcome to the
we went to see Journey to the Center of the Earth with Josh Hutcherson and Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and it was in 3D, and there were parts of it where my friend would just have the 3D glasses on, and in a packed theater, it was a huge, long IMAX, so it was basically like to the screen was a decent amount. Yeah. And when there was a 3D crazy scene, he was like a crazy person, and he got up and started running to the front and going, I can see it! I can see it! And just running toward it with his hands up, like trying to grab at the screen. And everybody in the theater is like, whose child is this?
He was just doing it for a laugh?
Yeah, he's like 16.
Oh, okay, yeah, 16 adds up. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's just confirm here. He was just doing it for a laugh.
Yes, no, yeah.
Okay,
he didn't actually think that he could grab the things in the movie.
I know.
It was really funny, actually.
Any comment that I was thinking. That does sound funny.
Because people were just not vibing with that movie, I don't think, unless you were 10 years old, and everyone's like, what's going on here? This is a little bit.
This isn't a great movie.
And they did those things when 3D was kind of coming out, where it's just like they overused the 3D aspect of the movie. So there's certain things that are in it just for the 3D effect.
Right. Yeah.
And you don't need that. Like
literally, I think we had to talk about it during Harold and Kumar Christmas.
Yeah.
There's a line in there. It's 3D. I actually think it's Bobby Lee who does it. He goes, it's 3D, and then sticks his thumb out. And when you're not watching with 3D, you're just like, what are we doing?
Like, hey man, this sucks.
Yeah. But I mean, in terms of I really like how she ends up back in San Francisco, and they're not vibing at first. They kind of go back to being friends, but
they're like forced together though too. They kind of get set up by external factors. So it's,
he's working.
Neither of them
like,
knew what they were doing.
Yeah. So then when they actually end up like wanting to hang out, the meet cute was super awkward actually this time.
Oh yeah. But I like that though. I like
did.
the uncomfortableness. Like you could feel the tension.
Yeah. And then they obviously end up wanting to hang out themselves. They're even texting, but they both are in relationships. One ends earlier than the other. And then, you know what? I think that there's probably not much that I could add to how I liked their love story other than what we said, probably like with the childhood friends thing and then their meet cute, other than, I just like it. So we can talk about how Marcus's relationship ends with Jenny because it's done by no other than Hollywood's finest, the nicest guy, most genuine person in Hollywood.
I love those stories that
Keanu
he does
Reeves.
the nicest things too. He's just an all-around
And apparently he
good
is.
guy.
Like no one's actually came out and been like, no, this is a front. Like everyone just says, no, he's actually the man.
They probably said to him, "We need you to play an asshole," and he's like, "Absolutely, of course, I would love to do this for you."
So that's the one thing that I'll point out. And by the way, Keanu Reeves, if you've seen the movie The Replacements, football movie, awesome movie.
I actually haven't.
Quicksand, dude. It is
Watch
an
it.
awesome movie.
It's good?
Yeah. So we have Keanu Reeves. It's basically he's making fun of himself. Like the memes that we have of Keanu being the man, tall Keanu, little Keanu, all those things that come out about him. He's making fun of himself, making him even more likable, which is such a good move for him. Because, like he's in a way, like just his demeanor in real life. He's so positive. He's all of this. There's a semblance of that in his douchebag character, so that's what I mean when people say it's not a front. Yeah, he's
literally just walking in slow motion, and everybody's just like, "Hold!" I love that they're in real time, and he's just in slow motion walking through, doing
he's like
whatever.
larger than life. Yeah,
yeah. She rips a picture of them and is like, "I only get that face once."
Yeah, I mean, so I love the fact that he's playing this like very heightened. He's almost playing a heightened character of himself, but also like the opposite of himself at the same time.
His foil. We learned that a while ago. Yeah, bringing it back.
So I thought, and I brought this up to Winnie, but I had to cut this movie in half on my rewatch, and it happened to be half and half through Keanu's appearance, through like honestly this huge bit. So I thought that it might have even felt a little long, but Winnie, you said that it wasn't.
I don't think it was long. I think that you had a warped sense of how long it was because you did other things, and that whole time you were probably just like, Keanu.
I'm getting back to Keanu.
Keanu's great, man.
That's all I was thinking about. Could not get it off my mind.
All in your break, your photo shoot break, you were like, Keanu, man, he's awesome. And then you come back to just more Keanu. You got overloaded. But I think in that time, it did everything that it needed to do. Because if we only got Keanu for dinner, he was also in there to be like a plot device. Because it brought them together. Yeah. Like it got Randall out of his relationship. Yeah. And it got her out of that fleeting relationship.
Keanu,
and
burned
all the
bright,
secrets
though.
were exposed. Yeah. I don't think any other person could have played that role where he was so divisive, but in still a likable way. You know, he brought out all of the things that they really wanted to say to each other in a natural way, but also in such a douchey way. Just the fact of like, I don't know if it was one of our lines. I don't think so. But the first thing that he says when he sits down, while not getting Randall Park's name right once, is
he calls him something like ridiculous.
Yes. He's like, all right, Russell, what do you think?
He's like,
hey,
it's Marcus.
Marcus. Yeah. Just, I love that he just asked right away, do you have any dishes that play with the concept of time?
That was hilarious.
That's what those restaurants do, though. And I will say, I love me a good, like, one of those kind of restaurants.
I hate it.
Really,
if I'm spending a lot of money on something, I don't care how cool it is or how unique of a dish it is. If I spend, my money has to be proportionate to either flavor or size of the plate, or like size of the portion.
I went to one of those Jose Andres restaurants, Bazaar, when I was on a trip, and I will say that I ordered enough for it to have been worth it. Because the food, like, I love going to one of these places once in a while because it's a world-renowned chef. You get the best food. Like, I love that kind of Spanish cuisine that he did. I had, what was it? Like, no. It was the meat. Like, the Jamon Iberico. And that was worth it alone. I'm a big, like...
Shout out Granada.
Yes, exactly. So that was worth it enough for me. But I understand you're getting lit, you're going, and those dishes were...
But did you know that you were just going to get, like, tapas? Was it tapas?
Yeah, no, it was basically like I went...
bill.
And then I was there, we left, and we were like, who wants a cheeseburger? It was basically...
So as long as you know you're getting into it, fine.
Yeah.
I've never been to one of those. I will
Went
not.
for
I've
the
obviously been to... I like
experience.
tapas. Yeah, like tapas,
Yeah.
that's fine. No, what I'm talking about is, so I just had we went to dinner last weekend. Or no, we just grabbed lunch, and it was out in Dana Point. Shout out Coastal Kitchen if you're listening. There's a reason that I'm shouting out this restaurant. Because so it was on the more expensive side, that we didn't realize it was going to be as nice as it was. We sat outside with the dog. I got this $20 sandwich. Yeah, so I got this sandwich. I always like to, if every now and then I'll get a French dip sandwich. It was the best sandwich I think I've ever had in my life. I was going to, obviously you can do this with tip, but I was going to pay them more than $20 because I enjoyed the sandwich so damn much. Like, you don't understand. Oh, dude, the au jus was on the side. We had
what did you just call it?
My horseradish on.
Wait, what did you just call it? Au jus.
Au jus. Did I say au jus? I'm just excited, man. I'm thinking about this sandwich. I said it in a ridiculous way. I say things weird. I apologize. Au jus. Talking about you.
I see it on the menu right now. It is $20 French dip. Yeah, I'm at the menu.
If you can see
this
a
menu
picture
looks
of that,
unreal.
It came out, and I was shocked. I thought it was like a burger. It was piled high. That we're gonna step away from that, guys. All right.
See, no, I love this kind of. Last thing, I like this kind of restaurant because you get what you pay for, and it's like always dope food. It's like that high level pub food, and it's awesome.
Yeah, that's why I like Thai restaurants. I'll always go to a Thai restaurant, and like if I see like
when I get
$15
pho,
or whatever, I'm getting a lot of food. That's
you
what
order
I'm in
one
it for.
bowl of pho and you get 6 pounds of food, and they're like, "Do you want anything on the side?" I'm like, "I think I'm good here."
I have enough salt in my veins now to last me 4 weeks.
I might order pho. That's a good idea. But
actually, I'm probably gonna get some today. Hungry cast.
Yeah.
So I think that the one other thing that I want to mention is, and I mean, honestly, we could talk more about the movie. I think this might even be on the shorter side for an episode. But something that I really liked that was woven into everything, so even the struggling band, that their childhood romance turned into a normal romance, was kind of like, it's not a love letter, but a cool look on San Francisco. And as someone who's never been to San Francisco, and the honestly, I just likened it before to so Italy, by the way, shout out, sorry if you're English, British watching this, but if you're Italian, congratulations. Or I mean, what a win. But it's almost one of those things that, as an American and seeing the story of Italy, like the how tough they had with COVID, and then kind of getting to this point of the championship and winning, there's like a romanticism to it, which I think probably more people would be on Italy's side. And I think that it's almost this way with San Francisco, with when we see it in movies, because you can hear news about it and hear the reality about it, but there's something that's so different about San Francisco than most other U.S. cities. The culture, like the vibe, even the like topography. I mean, the hills even make it look cool when they do this little thing. It looked like it was like a nice homage to San Francisco. And again, as someone who's never been there, I honestly just thought it was kind of cool that it was woven in. They had their a lot of it was based around San Francisco things, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I think it gives San Francisco a good vibe all around to it. Like, you feel like you could like it there, but it's also very different from a lot of other cities where, in New York, it's always like, if there's a rom-com in New York, it's always the go, go, go. Oh, I'm busy. I'm a working adult. I don't have time for love. And then you go to San Francisco and it's like he's just smoking weed in a band, kind of doing his own thing. Yeah.
And there are definitely versions of San Francisco. Honestly, probably there's one version of New York, and it's kind of that.
Oh,
you say the New York rom-coms. That's why they're always Christmas movies, because people are just happier around Christmas.
Yeah.
San Francisco, they're anytime.
I don't have time for love.
It's okay. You got out of there. Out of there.
Into something.
Which, by the way, if you're watching and you've been watching, you realize Winnie has a new background. Everyone congratulate Winnie. He's finally out.
I'm on my own.
Yeah, he's made a big step, just like when Marcus moved out on his own.
Exactly. I'm not calling somebody every 2 seconds, just leaving voicemails, though. Like, hey, just want to let you know I got my own place. We
5
both
seconds.
have nice white backgrounds now. Yeah.
Yeah, we're both as boring as possible here.
Exactly. I got to get something up here, though. I don't know what. I'll get something up in the background.
Maybe we'll get some
figure
stuff,
it out.
because I said that too, and then it's
we'll
been
coordinate.
like 5 months.
Yeah.
But, I guess the one other thing that we can point out, and it's why I think they were so bound, and obviously it was almost the plot device. It was definitely a plot device. Everything's a plot device. But when they ended up having sex, obviously Marcus's mom died, and then his dad's struggling with it, and it kind of comes out in the end. So when I just thought of it because I mentioned it, Marcus basically says, I need to be your caretaker. And his dad's like, what are you talking about? When him and the Diana Ross impersonator, he finds out that they're dating. And then he just drops the line like, well, mom died and I don't want to leave you too. And it's something that you can tell Marcus hung on to. And it was just never directly addressed in dialogue up until this point. It's something that Marcus held on to and his dad has like come to terms of acceptance with, which is another thing that it almost seemed like an entire other wrinkle because of just this family dynamic with the mom missing out, which by the way, the mom missing out, I honestly, it was like up in the beginning. It seemed to be like up that like the first 10-15 minutes were just depressing. I forgot about that on the rewatch. I was like, dang, this kind of sucks right now.
You could even tell by the color too. Like the color changed from their childhood. It was very bright and everything like that. And then you get a little bit farther in the movie and it's just straight up depressing. Like the funeral, especially, you know, having been in that kind of situation where you're just in the house and don't really know what to do with yourself.
The coffee filters, that was something that was so like realistic and so raw.
Like, I don't know where she put them, and that moment just hit so hard. It was just like, okay, this is a little depressing, and that I think too helped with the hook, where it's like, you know, that in the first 15 minutes. It loops you in and you're like, where are we going from here? Because this is very unexpected. Also seeing Randall Park fishing with Ali Wong and just as
you just kind of you stand there and then you put it in the thing. Yeah. And then when before that, I think. Oh, no, it was after that because he tells his mom then. After that, when Ali Wong's like singing, getting him to crack up, that was a great moment between them.
Yep. That was really good. And I think just the whole idea of them being together during this and kind of being emotionally spurred when she's had that crush on him for so long, it all just comes together pretty well. And I mean, from depressing to not depressing to insanely awkward, it covers a lot in a short amount of time.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a great love story. Just one that I think we really liked. Do you have anything else you want to cover about the movie, or do you want to go on to favorites here?
I'm good for favorites if you are.
All right. I'll let you go.
Okay.
Because it has to be said.
It does have to be said. So for me, I think that my favorite character, and I hate to do it because there's so many other good characters, but it's Keanu. And I hate to say
it's like an absolute just... It literally is like a meme coming to life of like him just making fun of himself. I mean, and honestly, I think that what else we didn't say about it, but it wasn't hand-fisted in. It wasn't like, hey, kids, look at this. You know how you like him on the internet? It was actually like a plot. He actually furthered the plot, like we said. Like he was really important, and obviously he was really good at it. I mean, it's Keanu Reeves. He's gonna be awesome.
He was really awesome at it too. And I mean, you can't really like have a conversation about this movie and not mention him.
No. I mean, it's kind of the whole thing with this movie. Mine is going to be the Diana Ross impersonator, just because I think it's hilarious that his dad happens to be into Diana Ross and then ends up dating a Diana Ross impersonator.
Just the fact that she was at the birthday party. Just
for a 3-year-old or whatever it was.
That party was such a shit show too, because you have the dad like talking to the Diana Ross impersonator, and then you have Ali Wong like screaming on the phone just
breakup
through an open window.
You're scaring the goats. My favorite scene is probably, I think we mentioned it, right after they get together, when Ali Wong's like, oh, that's my boyfriend. They're performing. I loved it because the music. And I said that, and the music might not be for everyone, but you know what? It's for me, and I stand by it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it is a really, like, the music, whether you like it or not, I like that it was a feature, and I like that they took that shot. And I like that it was an integral role. Even the members of the band being his friends, some of the best lines came from them. It's definitely a good part of it, and no matter where you stand there, it's necessary.
Yeah, dude, and honestly, Karan Soni in this movie has, that's the thing, I don't like saying, I try to be careful about not calling people their character names from other movies. Like, you don't just have to be one person. I mean, to me, the only other thing I've seen him in was Deadpool as Dopender. But he plays such a good role in this movie, and he is so damn good. His acting ability is insane, and he's so likable. And he got down to the medium, and he deserves the respect that we're giving him.
He does, and I love that he was in this. And honestly, for me, and I know this is going to be, we did Deadpool not too long ago, and I really didn't put it together that they were the same person.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, I don't know how because he was just two so different characters, and he took such a step in this movie from the last time that we saw him. That I think,
you know what? Yeah, so, sorry, he's also in Office Christmas Party. I was going to say, I've definitely seen him in something else, too.
Was he the guy that...
And by the way, don't let me discredit his acting because he literally has 77 IMDb credits.
That's oh my god.
Yeah, he's a huge TV actor. I just don't watch a bunch of TV. So shout out Karan Soni. Absolutely fantastic in this movie.
All right, so my favorite scene, we'll go this now because it's got to do with my favorite character, and we talked about it a lot. And it's the restaurant scene because I will take you through these meals. And you just tell me when to stop and when it gets a little too intense for you as a person. Like when you would leave.
Now.
Yeah, exactly. The second they say everything on this table is edible, Kevin's like, what am I doing at this place?
I'm going to know that I'm going to get stuck with a bill like Keanu does. And not that I'm going to have to pay it. I'm just saying when someone says, oh, everything's edible and everyone's dressed like they are, like I'm going to have to spend hundreds of dollars on this and be hungry. Get it out of my face. This is ridiculous.
You need Keanu there to go get some air and actually just pay for it instead.
Exactly.
Oh, that was just
if I'm with Keanu Reeves and he's paying, sure, I'll sit through it.
Okay, so basically the combination of these meals with the fact of the acting involved in this and all of the different perspectives. So it's asparagus soup from a centrifuge of just asparagus, like the flavor of asparagus. Then they bring out the flavor of Caesar salad. And it's like a cream paste on the plate. I'm just like a dollop of cream. And they're all eating it with their fingers. Oh, delicious. They're just... And Ali Wong's a chef in this movie, and she's just loving it, too.
Yeah,
and then,
if you're a chef, I get this.
Yeah, then they have the all-black course, which is just everything is just black, which looked uncomfortable on the plate. Like, just blackened... Not even blackened meat. It looked like it was painted. Yeah. Everything. I know they have those squid ink noodles, but then to end it all off, they have sugar balloons.
So to me, I think the thing that makes me, I think that to food, this is like the guy taping the banana to the wall and being like, "This is art. Here, pay me $1 million," and then, or the one that shreds itself or whatever. It's just people who are
Banksy?
bored. It's rich people who are bored. Trying to be assholes with while trying to look cool. You're just an asshole. You're not cultured. You're an asshole is what you are.
There is a line to cross when it becomes like you're doing too much with the food. Just, there's classics and then there's you don't need to break this down so much. Maybe
we're breaking down a Netflix rom-com. So
I will say that I did have a deconstructed key lime pie. Or deconstructed s'mores, and it's literally just like different parts of s'mores deconstructed. But you construct s'mores yourself.
Graham cracker?
Hey, you always construct s'mores yourself. That's the point of s'mores. How can it be deconstructed?
Person. You know who that is? It's literally someone who realizes that they could just take advantage of dumb people Or people who try to look cooler than they
ordered
are.
it.
Not dumb people, but people to be like, oh, I'm going to look awesome because I'm going to get the deconstructed s'mores.
I'm going to say to you, though, it was incredible. But let's move on.
But no, seriously, I actually want to cover this. Was it a graham cracker, a toasted marshmallow, and chocolate on a plate?
It was basically like there's different things on the plate. So it was like a lot of melt. It was this thing where, you know, there's a heat source and it like melts onto something and there's broken like crumbled graham cracker on. It was really, really good. And there was ice cream involved.
Okay.
It wasn't like they gave you a plate of graham crackers and s'mores and stuff and said like, hey, just make it yourself.
That's what I thought that they just bent you over and had their way with you.
No. It was a little different, but you know, still same ingredients.
See, you're an asshole. That's okay. I'm not saying it in a bad way. I'm just pointing it out.
No,
There's
I
a lot
agree
of
with
stuff
you.
that makes me an asshole. I like Randall Park's music in this.
Look, the person I went with to this was like, this isn't for me. We're here for you. I was like, thank you. I just like going to these places. I watched.
Was it the person I'm assuming that you went with?
I watched Chef's. I watched Chef's Table, and I loved it.
By the way, speaking of Chef, the Chef TV show. I love seeing people that are passionate about food, but when it goes to the banana taped to a wall level, no.
Yes. No, I agree with you.
I'm cool with the really surrealist painting. Someone who's just like, oh, this is my art. But if someone who just goes, I'm lazy, I know some rich person is going to pay me a bunch of... Actually, you know what? Good for them. If they can take advantage of people, good for them. But don't try to pretend like it's some high art. All right. Let's move on to lines.
Yeah, there is that restaurant, Alinea in Chicago, which is like molecular gastronomy, which looks incredible. So we'll move on. But
What I will say, I'm kind of just doing it just to, you know...
No, I know what you're doing.
Just to have an opinion.
I know what you're doing.
Just to have an opinion. But in reality, I guess it's cool. It's just not for me.
Exactly. To each their own. What's your favorite scene? And I know where this is going.
Oh, I already said mine. The Hello Peril scene.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, I distracted you. I got so deep into the deconstructed s'mores, which are always deconstructed.
Yeah, give me your favorite line.
All right. So one of mine is when they just had their first time together and they're in the Burger King. And the guy behind the counter, she leaves, storms off, goes, "Can I interest you in a Whopper? You can get it to go if you want to eat it in your car and cry."
Oh, it's so good. It was so awkward at the Burger King. Oh, I felt such like secondhand cringe for everyone in that Burger King.
Everyone involved.
Yeah.
Just not so good.
Mine comes at the end, like when we have our nice little bell curve. We all come around. Randall Marcus is going to see Sasha in New York, and he's suit shopping. First, he goes to Tom Ford and sees it's a $12,500 suit, and then goes to Suits and Supplies or something.
Yeah.
And he gets this. He says the exact price for like $230 or something that he's gonna get a suit for, and then the guy goes, "Oh yeah, that's a very versatile ensemble. It's great for court dates, entry-level job interviews, high school reunions where you don't want anyone to know how successful you are."
I love it.
See, that to me, that's probably I feel like Ali Wong had to write that.
Oh, yeah.
That's such a stand-up line kind of thing.
It threw me off too when he was so confident going into the suit store. He's like, "My friend Keanu sent me."
Yeah.
And then sees
I'm like,
the price.
wait, is he gonna get like a discount or something?
Yeah.
Keanu, or is he gonna get it for free? Is that his plan? And then he just didn't realize that he was gonna have to spend that much?
Oh, absolutely not. Just getting zero leeway there. Spitting out the champagne on. Pour that shit up.
Take it off
and then
me.
2 minutes later, it burns. It's burning me. My next line is when they're at, of course, the restaurant, and they're like, "Everything on this table is edible, by the way." And Randall Park just goes, "Wait, so is it?" And he's holding the napkin, and the guy goes, "No, not the napkin, sir." And his date is just like, "Don't eat a napkin, Marcus. Of course you don't eat the napkin."
See, I felt for him in that situation because I would have been like, "Oh, everything." But mine's actually between those two as well, or him and his girlfriend, and they're talking about how she said that you need a famous person to make change, and she's like, "How do you think Leonardo DiCaprio has done so much for climate change?" Or they're talking about him, and then Marcus goes, "What has Leonardo DiCaprio done for climate change?" And she just goes, "He's working on it."
Literally just made a movie about it.
Yeah. So they're
I feel
already
like
calling
that's
him out
such a
back
good
in 2018.
I can see that being an Ali Wong thing too, because that's a stand-up bit.
Yes,
where
that's a
it's
stand-up bit. That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely. It's just like, yeah, everyone's like, Leo's so big on it, but what has he done? What is he doing? Like, he's just talking about it.
Exactly. You know what? Let's call out, because I'm a climate change guy, so I like.
You're a big advocate for climate change, Kev?
No, big denier. Big denier, actually.
Oh,
so.
okay, cool. Yeah.
We'll move on to facts here, and we're talking Keanu. The first few are gonna be about Keanu. So, Ali Wong and Randall Park obviously are of Asian descent, and they wanted to keep everything to basically not everything, but mostly to Asian actors. So they knew that there was going to be some crazy person, and they weren't sure who it was going to be, but Keanu Reeves was their first choice. So Keanu actually has Chinese and Hawaiian ancestry on his father's side, and that fit the bill for them. So, but they didn't think that they were going to get Keanu. So they sent him the script, and actually what happened was Keanu Reeves had watched Ali Wong's Netflix special, the Baby Cobra one, and he also read the script and then just told Ali Wong he would be honored to be a part of their love story. So, apparently he was also like just chilling there. He was quoting Ali Wong's like lines from her special. He was like really genuine about it and wanted to work with them.
It would be my honor to partake in your love story. Just
He's
such a nice guy.
Yeah.
It's probably like,
thanks, Keanu.
Yeah.
And then also, so John Wick 3 Parabellum was what came out in 2019, and they were actually filming that while Keanu filmed this. So all of his stuff just took 4 days, and they actually filmed it in San Francisco as opposed to Vancouver, where they were mainly filming just to fit his schedule. So they wanted their guy, they got their guy, but they needed to make it happen. And
you do what you got to do for your man. You do what you got to do for a bit of Keanu in your movie, and it paid dividends.
Yeah,
I will tell you. Just to have we're going off about Keanu, but how can you not? Because he improvised actually a lot in those 4 days, where it was his idea when they're playing the game that night to list all of the Chinese dignitaries. And then he also improvised the line, "I missed your light. I missed your soul." Yeah. And then he improvised, "I don't have a problem, Sasha. What's your problem?" And all the karate gestures.
Karate moves. Yeah, he's going crazy. That was another thing that was hilarious in this movie. Sasha was saying like the physical things. So she's like, "I missed your thumbs. You're so good with your thumbs." Everything that she says physical, he says back like, "I missed your light. I missed your soul." That stuff.
Yeah.
So good.
And then... So another thing that was pretty real about this was Randall Park really wrote the songs in this movie. About Hello Peril, the band, Randall Park played a huge role in, playing the aspiring musician, because he wrote all of the songs that were involved. And in the 90s, he had a real hip hop band, which became the influence behind Hello Peril, which is so funny to see. And so he co-wrote the numbers and all the songs with Dan the Automator, and the fans have Randall Park to thank for the "I Punched Keanu Reeves" song. And on top of that, Ali Wong used to go to his shows back in the day, just like in the movie, which is a pretty crazy thing to see.
Yeah, I know. It's so cool knowing that they know each other. So they actually knew each other because they both went to UCLA, and Ali Wong began performing at the university's LCC Theater Company, which is the largest and longest running university Asian American theater company. And Randall Park actually co-founded it with her, and so they've been friends for a while, at least since college. But Randall Park co-founded it, and then Ali Wong ended up being in it and performing in it, because the reason I made that distinction is Randall Park is actually 8 years older than Ali Wong, although they're supposed to be the same age in the movie.
Yeah, and they look the same age, because Randall Park ages like fine wine, just like everyone in this movie ages so well. Ali Wong, Keanu Reeves, Randall Park, they could all play their high school selves if Keanu shaved, which he should not do, because, it's very fitting. It's Keanu.
Keep the beard.
Keep the beard. But this movie, again, was kind of billed as a joint effort between Randall Park and Ali Wong. But the idea came from Randall Park, and while they co-wrote and co-starred in everything together, Park was the one who called up Ali Wong and asked if she wanted to write the rom-com together.
Yeah.
And of course, she said yes. And Ali Wong kind of mistook that and thought he was asking her to write a rom-com for him that he would star in with somebody else. So she was like, oh, I'll just help you write this, and then you'll star in it with whoever you want to cast. And basically, they came together, and, you know, an instant classic came from this because Randall was like, no, I mean you. I want you to be in this with me and not somebody random. It's kind of like, it's an interesting situation for her to think that she's writing a rom-com about somebody else, but from her mind, and him being like, no, this is for you. This is for me and you.
Like, hey, I want you to co-star in this with me.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Funny, like she didn't exactly know at first.
And the director Khan shared with everyone that, you know, Always Be My Maybe was kind of thought of as a contemporary homage to When Harry Met Sally, which is, you know, one of the rom-coms that people look at for inspiration.
Yeah, it's almost like the one from back in the day.
With Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan, and everybody in the cast kind of looked at that for inspiration and seeing what they could do. Because I feel like there's a lot of things in movies where you look at something as the staple or the start to a genre or things like that are just like have the foundations that are tried and true. So everyone kind of looked at When Harry Met Sally for that, and the director goes on to note that the appeal of the project was grounded in its concept, and she pointed out that the movie takes cues from a few other famous films like Bridget Jones's Diary and Notting Hill. So there's a lot of inspirations that kind of pulled into this movie, which you can see throughout if you really are a film person and you take that in.
Cinema person, such as ourselves.
Yes.
So actually, we were talking a lot about art, especially like painted art this episode, and we had this one specific painting that Randall Park held on to because, Marcus held on to because his mom painted it. His mom loved to paint, and in reality, Randall Park's mom actually loved to paint, and those were all her paintings in the movie that they used. So she's really a painter, and it's cool that his real life mom had all that art.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's.
So, speaking of authenticity, they actually had a food consultant on set. So, obviously, it was important because when we're talking about all this, you know, the fine dining and everything.
Yeah.
And even, I'm sure, down to the scenes where they have, like, basically B-roll in Sasha's restaurants. So, Nikki Nakayama, the celebrity chef, actually served as inspiration for Sasha. And she even got some of the items on Winnie's favorite menu. Apparently
the asparagus soup.
Yep, apparently she made the asparagus soup, the all-black dish, and then the venison that played with the mind.
Oh my god!
Played with the concept of time. Keanu starts crying. So funny.
I'm sorry, and then just digs in.
Yeah.
So crazy. I mean, it's crazy that all of that is real.
Oh yeah.
And so the production itself of the movie originally hoped to shoot entirely in San Francisco where it's set, but they had budgetary restraints, and obviously when you're doing a lot and with the cast that they have and all of the moving parts, it's hard to get everything that you want. So they elected to shoot for about 6 weeks in Vancouver, and they had another 2 weeks in San Francisco instead to kind of balance everything out and make sure the budgeting worked out well, which makes sense. I mean, you do what you got to do.
So I mean, like, as much love as we were talking about it gave San Francisco, and obviously it was supposed to be based there, it was actually mainly Vancouver. Maybe a little fun fact for people.
Exactly.
Oh, so this week in comedy, I'm gonna let you talk because so I watched the first 3 episodes, I think, and I loved them. But
the first second that it came out,
so I wanted to, as people know from last week, probably I became a dog owner, and my dog. He's awesome. He's just sleeping behind me right now. But, yeah, dude, honestly, with how I love Tim Robinson's humor, but it was so intense that I honestly think my dog was getting a little stressed out. I was just watching it like when he was on the his bed next to me, and there was so much screaming, and it was so loud and so intense, and I was like, I felt like he was getting a little stressed out, so I had to stop watching it.
Just from constant Tim Robinson, I feel like a dog
screaming.
The
thing that really
did you get to the Blues Brothers sketch?
Yes, that's what did it. The dog was barking the whole time. I was like, I really want to watch this, but I don't want my dog to start getting nervous.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. That's the one that every dog is like, fuck this guy.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. The other one was when he's talking about the khaki pants that have the 2 dots on the calico cut pants or something.
You gotta donate to the site.
And then he's like, he sends him the video. Is it gonna be loud? No. And then it's just blasting. I'm like, I should turn my TV low, but it didn't even help.
You gotta give. This, I think.
Good.
Okay, so after all 6 episodes, the season over delivered. I can't say enough about it. I texted Kevin the second after I watched, so I was like 10 minutes into the first episode, and I told Kev, I was like, if you're not doing anything right now, go to the first episode and start at 2:49 and go from there and watch that sketch, because it is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my entire life. I've watched it 10 times, and I will watch it again. My
dad listens. We've mentioned him a lot on this podcast. Shout out you, Dad. He literally texted me. He watched it before I did because the dog. I was so busy. But he texted me and he specifically called out Corn Cob TV as well. And my mom it's so not up her alley, that sense of humor. It goes way over her head. And he was like, even mom liked it. Even my mom liked the Corn Cob TV. Just dead naked bodies falling out of caskets. It's so funny. He's like, they talking
said
about
you must have rigged
lawsuit.
it. They said, how are you filming it?
Yeah, they're like, that doesn't happen that often, dude. That's the turbo.
There's
time.
no way
like,
1 in 5.
time.
Yeah. Oh, it's this season's turbo time. There's no way that 1 in 5 bodies is naked. I didn't rig this. I didn't rig shit. I didn't rig this,
dude.
I've been trying too long to get a hit on Corn Cob TV.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing that I can just say about this is I think you're so right. From what I saw, it did not take a step back. And it has that just cult. Whenever there's like, it almost has like a cult classic following, even though it was just one season, it just came out recently. It just felt like one of those shows that no matter what they did, it could have disappointed people a little, even if it was hilarious. And that did not happen. Like,
he
glad. Was hitting on all cylinders. He did not deviate at all. And I'm just happy to see that there aren't people that are saying, like, no, it wasn't great.
You even sounded like him right there when you said at all, because it's the most Tim Robinson thing. He just goes, I didn't do at all. Like, that's not what I meant at all. Like, such a distinct, I love every minute of it. And they even got Tim Heidecker back, which is incredible.
And Connor O'Malley. They had everyone back.
You probably didn't get to the Tim Heidecker one.
No, I didn't see it.
I think it's a little later, but it's insane. It is like I think it's the last. No, it's the second last sketch in the second to last episode of the season. There's also one where, did you get to the shirt patterns one? I think that's in the second episode.
Yes.
Oh my god, he's been spending his per diem on these shirts.
Dude, and then something else I realized about the few episodes that I watched were not few. I watched like half of it or something.
Yeah.
But he did a lot of like callbacks. He did a lot of, you know, the TC Tuggers thing from the first episode. It seemed like he was doing that more.
Flashes. Yeah. They had that in another episode too, where it's just the people scrambling for shirts.
Just freaking out.
The one pattern is so complicated, it costs $1,000. And then he's like, it costs $2,000. She's like, I thought you said it cost $1. Shut up.
That's exactly like your pride of eating what you eat.
Oh, yeah. Deconstructed s'mores costs $55.
Is there any other sketches that you feel the need to point out? I mean, don't worry about spoiling for me or anything. Let the people know.
So I mean, like
watched maybe top 3.
I've watched. Okay, so top 3 for me is gonna be. It's so tough. I gotta look at. It's so tough because I've saw the other season probably 10 times. And this one I watched through once.
Right.
Number 1, Above and Beyond is Corncob TV.
Okay, that's what I was going to say.
It's
If
not even
anything's more.
close. It's not even close. The second one I would even put up there, The Shirts. The third one, actually, I would put up, I don't know if you've seen this one, but the courtroom text documents when he's got the crazy hat on and they're just talking. So it's basically somebody got caught for insider trading, and all of them, it's like, he's got dice in his pocket. I don't know what he's doing with dice in his pocket. He just puts the dice on the floor. He's kicking them toward that sketch alone. Oh my gosh. So it's those three for me that off the top of my head, I think are hilarious.
Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, sorry, my video went out. But that sketch, those three, I think you're exactly right.
Yes.
That hat one is so funny. They're reading the court documents, and it's going back to like where he's actually in the meeting. And then the dice is like an added just bonus on top.
Oh my gosh, and the callback to the hot dog thing, like if you get embarrassed, if you get fired from your job and they said that's not the reason, but I know it's the reason. Nobody in office could look at me the same after that. Like, that was unbelievable. But this season, if you were into the last season, you haven't seen the last season, you got to watch it. I mean, it is 15-minute episodes of just unbelievable art. And even Seth Rogen tweeted.
Oh, did he?
Seth Rogen called it out and was like, if you have not watched season 1 or season 2 of I Think You Should Leave, it is the best sketch show I've ever seen, or like on TV right now. And it did not take a step back with season 2. And I was like, he knows what's up.
Yeah. Shout out Seth Rogen.
I might honestly watch it after this.
I'm gonna finish it up. I think my dog's been sleeping for like the entire day, so he can use a little excitement.
That's a good call.
Life.
Yeah, a little bit.
So actually, next week we will probably be doing, because it's already coming up. We have this episode. It came out on the 13th, so the 20th is going to be our next episode. I get married that week, so
yes, my birthday is the 21st, so I'm stealing Kevin's thunder that weekend.
Yeah, it's mostly a Winnie celebration.
It's a party for me with Kevin's wedding on the side.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing my big fat Greek wedding next week, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be a little different. We'll keep you updated on that, or you'll just see when it comes out.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see you then. I'm Kevin.
I'm Winnie.
We'll see you at the next episode.
Aju.
Aju.